Did you read Eat, Move, Sleep? Great, let's talk about it. I have reached the end of Eat, Move, Sleep, and it really was a great read the second time around. And sharing what I've read has really helped me to better remember some of those takeaways that can be really motivating and how I make decisions for my day-to-day health. In this video, I'll give you a quick review of the book and what I've determined to be my top 5 takeaways from the 30 chapters that I read and how I plan to apply what I learned moving forward. Because what's the point of learning all these new facts and information if you're not going to apply it? Now let's get into what my top 5 takeaways are. You've heard from my TikTok and Instagram what my favorite takeaways are from number 14 to 6, so here's number 5. This confronted me about the use of the snooze button. How many times do you hit the snooze button? Or better yet, how many backup alarms do you have to represent the snooze button on your phone? We convince ourselves that it's allowing us to get more sleep, but in reality, it's not. In chapter 12 of Eat, Move, Sleep, my takeaway is that there are studies out there that prove that those extra few minutes or so doesn't count or help you feel better rested because it doesn't add to the total amount of deep sleep that your body needs to feel more alert. Tom says it's better for you to sleep all the way up to the time so that you're in deep sleep longer than to interrupt it just to hit the snooze button 10 times thinking you're squeezing out more energy from your sleep. So to apply this tip, I got rid of all of my multiple alarms, but I do have 2. I only have 2 now. One is from using this app called Sleep Tracker. It's set up to monitor you as you sleep to begin waking you up at the best time within the 30-minute window of when you need to get up, depending on what state of sleep you're in. It wants to wake you up when you're closest to already feeling yourself coming out of deep sleep. And this helps you to not only not feel startled out of your sleep, but it also helps you to not feel groggy. Now, most of the time I obey his call and get up feeling pretty refreshed. However, there are some days that are harder than others, mainly because I went to sleep late or I didn't get the full amount of sleep I wanted due to interruptions. That's where my second alarm comes to play. I got it off Amazon where I have it set that 10 minutes before I'm supposed to wake up, it starts to light up the room kind of like a sunrise simulation. This helps me because if for whatever reason I'm feeling stubborn, one thing I can't ignore is that light waking me up. I'm telling you all that this has been my dynamic duo in waking me up in the morning, so I've officially gotten rid of my 10 alarms repeating every 5 minutes. Moving on to number 4 takeaway is what I learned about juice and dried fruit. So this is in chapter 19 of Eat, Move, Sleep, and Tom talks about how juice is worse than eating the fruit. And you know what's worse than juicing? Dried fruit. Now, when I first heard about dried fruits being nothing but candy, I was shook because I really thought I was doing something healthy by eating my old dried cranberries and little old banana chips. But Tom says that eating that stuff gives you all the sugar and none of the nutrition that you need from fruit. That a cup of dried cranberries actually gives you a whopping 78 grams of sugar. And honestly, my first reaction was that has to be exaggeration. Ain't no way a cup of dried cranberries is 78 grams. But I did my Googles. And a third of a cup is about 25 grams of sugar. So, yep, 75 grams a cup, that's about right. That's a lot of sugar compared to eating a cup of fresh cranberries and you're only eating 6 grams of sugar at most. So no wonder we end up eating 150 pounds of sugar in a day, Americans. So I've cut out juice and most of the dry fruit in my diet. I might drink less than 8 ounces of orange juice in the morning with my vitamins because vitamin C helps absorb it. But I now try to focus on just hitting my fruit goal of at least 2 pieces of fruit a day. And dried fruit has been significantly cut out of my diet. The only time I kind of had dried fruit is eating those That's It bars. I only eat them if I'm on the run or, if I don't have time to grab something to eat. It just keeps my stomach quiet. But honestly, I should go ahead and cut that out too. Not only is it dried fruit with a lot of sugar, but those bars are expensive. I gotta stick to my budget. Anyway, next is number 3 takeaway. Over the recent years, it seems like everyone has had some type of watch tracker or Fitbit-like device. To some, it seemed like we were crazy to want to know how many steps we took or our heart rate at random times a day. And while others may think it's pointless or even obsessive, my takeaway from chapter 27 in Eat, Move, Sleep is that it's the best trick in sticking to your health habits. Tracking your habits, even with basic activities, can help encourage you to stay active. You'll notice just how much you got out of that long walk from the back of the parking lot, or how lifting and carrying that box counted as a workout. Best of all, it'll motivate you to do more. Those notifications are a form of nudging. Even though you may not hit your goal, you're going to be reminded that that goal exists from your tracker. And eventually, with enough nudges, you're going to start being more proactive on it. So if you're struggling to start those healthy habits, get some technology that can help track where you are now. It could be the motivation you need that may not always be instant, but over time, it'll push you in the right direction. Now for me, this has been very true. I've had this Apple Watch for about 7 years now. And you know, Apple Watches will send you nudges to stand up, move around, things like that. It'll celebrate you if you reach the goal and dare you to beat that goal the next day. And like most people, I'm sure, I didn't really give it too much attention. However, in the back of my mind, I would think, man, I really need to get on top of my fitness goals. So this year, I decided to do a 10K step challenge where I've been taking 10,000 steps a day. Here's how I do it. I get up around 5 a.m. and no, I'm not a morning person, but I've been making myself go to bed on time and my body just has gotten adjusted to this routine. So I get up at 5 and instead of sitting down when I pray and read my Bible, I walk on the treadmill at a steady pace. That's enough for me to get my steps in, but not too much to where I can barely speak to God. By the time I finish, I'm usually around 2,500, 3,000 steps in. Then I go about my normal day. On average, I get about 4,000, maybe 5,000 steps when I go to work. Our building is huge, so you can get steps in easily, but I've added into that to purposely park further away in the parking garage and use the steps instead of the elevator. I've noticed that I've gotten less winded over time of doing this, so yay. When I get home, I usually will be somewhere around 7,500 steps. So instead of sitting on my couch and scrolling my phone or read, I get on my treadmill. Now for Christmas, I got what I wanted on my list, which was a little standing tray that sits on the arms of my treadmill. So I can sit things on it to do whatever I need to do. I've even played The Sims 4 on my laptop on it, which helps because you know how time can fly by if you're playing The Sims. But bottom line is that my watch helps me to track it to make sure I'm getting my steps in, and it nudges me of how many I've gotten so far. An app that I really like too is the Pacer app because they have different challenges to help motivate you and you can interact with others who are also setting these type of goals. But honestly, your iPhone has a lot of stats already, so it's just a nice to have kind of app. Just know that there isn't an app that's going to instantly let you know that you've hit 10,000 steps as soon as you hit it, as I've learned. But if you know of one, let me know because I need to find that. One thing about it is that my apps are showing me my streaks, and that has been a huge motivation for me to keep going so that I don't break the streak. All right, my second favorite takeaway is something that I've always wondered but heard different perspectives about. When you think about what's the worst thing to eat, what is it? Do you think it's dairy, meat? I mean, sugar is a given and bread turns into sugar, so we're not talking about those two categories. Apparently, there's an order of best to worst to eat according to Tom Brown. And that was my takeaway from chapter 10 of Eat, Move, Sleep. So if we were to go from healthy to practically junk, it would start with fruits and vegetables, nuts, seafood, white meat like chicken or turkey, dairy, red meat, and then processed meat. Processed meat is your hot dogs, bologna, jerky, ham, sausages, bacon, and deli meat. It's anything that's preserved by smoking, salting, curing, or adding chemical preservatives, according to the MD Anderson Cancer Center. You increase your risk of cancer, heart diseases, and diabetes if you regularly eat processed meat. So if you're looking for a true baby step in improving your health, maybe the first step is limiting just how much processed meat you eat. Bacon lovers, I understand, okay? Hang in there. We're in this together. So how am I applying this? Well, I'm struggling. I'm not going to lie to you. Out of all the takeaways, this might be the hardest one. I started out this year saying I was going to cut out processed meat just to focus on that for now. However, I've definitely had some hot dogs, some sausage biscuits, some burgers with bacon, and a turkey sandwich with Firehouse subs. It's just so hard to say goodbye. But I'm going to recommit to this. I just know that this is going to be a one day at a time thing. At minimum, I'm not going to buy it to keep in the house to cook it, which is a good baby step of refusing to cook it yourself. So if I could just muster the discipline to avoid it when I go out to eat, then we'll make some good progress there. But just keep me in your prayers because I can't bring myself to eat carrot hot dogs. I can't. And now we have arrived to my favorite number one takeaway that I read. And just remember that as I rank all these, it's through a very slim margin that any of these is better than another because all of the tips were useful to me. So with this takeaway, I want to ask you, Have you ever had some really bland food before? Like they barely put any seasoning in it, just salt, pepper, and well wishes. Well, I've now learned some info from chapter 25 of Eat, Move, Sleep that encourages the use of more seasonings that aren't salt-based. These research that he listed there shares that seasonings can help decrease the likelihood of developing cancer in the body. So some of those seasonings are cinnamon, garlic, nutmeg, parsley, turmeric. Some more that I did find in my Googles was rosemary, thyme, oregano, ginger, cayenne pepper. So you should really explore all these seasonings because they help aid in your body's health. I've taken the approach to generously season my food anyway, but I think that's where we could get in trouble when we start overloading it with salt-based seasonings and butter. So I'm all for seasoning your food, especially with good cancer-fighting seasonings, because not only are you doing your taste buds a favor, but your immune system as well. Now this was an easy tip because I mentioned I have 2 drawers full of seasonings. I actually really need to do a better job of organizing my seasonings because it's slightly chaotic. Not fully, just slightly. And I use so many of them, I've opted to buy the big jars from Costco for some of them. I love using cinnamon and nutmeg in my oatmeal instead of sugar. That's a great substitute to use and it has a good taste to it. Most of my roasted vegetables have thyme or basil, along with a little salt, pepper, and olive oil. Not too much though. And I like trying different cuisines. So I'm currently practicing with Jamaican jerk flavors and Ethiopian bird flavors. Don't ask me to bring a dish yet because I'm still in the kindergarten phase of trying these different things. But my point is to explore, try new recipes. You'll be surprised at just how delicious things can taste when you go outside your comfort zone. Also, if any of you have great recipes around turmeric, please let me know because this is currently an underused spice in my cabinet, but I'm looking to change that. So overall, that's what I plan to do to put it all into practice. I plan to give myself grace and keep working to find the right tweaks to my habits that works for me, and you should do the same. Don't expect to get it right in the first week. It's a marathon, so it's not a sprint. Just do your best because that's all you can do. And with that, I wrap up my review of Eat, Move, Sleep by Tom Rath. I hope this has encouraged you to read the book if you haven't, or if you just enjoyed hearing my take on it, that you enjoyed that as well. Take care and happy reading.